Hey folks, Tony Russo here from the Pines Cast. I just wanted to give you a quick show note. This episode was scheduled to go out on November 8th, but it is to promote, in part, a craft show that's happening on November 2nd. So we're going to shift up the schedule a little bit, and you're going to get an episode this week, but you're not going to get an episode next week, but you will get an episode the week after. This is another good reason to subscribe, because now you have a special bonus you weren't expecting, and you'll know why there won't be a show on November 8th. But this is a great conversation with Sharon Puser, and she is the head of the Ocean Pines Pioneer Craft Club. We talk at length about the club's history and how it's celebrating its 50th year and some of their great big plans for the future. So we've kind of flipped the introduction. We're going to play that now and get right to the show. It's a great talk, so I'm sure you're going to get a kick out of it. Ocean Pines is a vibrant residential community nestled on Maryland's eastern shore. With over 9 miles of waterfront property, amenities like an 18-hole championship golf course and a public yacht club, and a rich history dating back to 1968. Of course, if you live here, you probably know most of that. And if you don't, it's almost all apparent from your first visit. Each week on the Pines Cast, we work to bring out the ocean pines that might be less apparent. We celebrate the region, the amenities, and, most of all, the people who make and keep Ocean Pines a special place to live. Welcome to the Pines Cast, your source of news and insights about Ocean Pines and the official podcast of the Ocean Pines Association. So we are going to go through all of the fun things that you're doing now, but before we can talk about now, we have to talk about how you got here. So what brought you to Ocean Pines? I understand you were a regular visitor before you were a homeowner.
Yes, a friend of mine that I worked with told us about Ocean Pines. And so our first trip here, we traveled with him and his wife to check out the area and see how we liked it. And we decided that this is where we wanted to retire, in this general area. And we looked all around, but we always kept coming back to Ocean Pines. And so we actually built our house before we retired. We were using it weekends and summer vacations and that. And then eventually fully retired and moved down here.
And can you locate me in time? When did you start coming down, and how long have you been coming to Ocean Pines before you bought, and then when did you buy?
I would say it was in the early 2000s. We finally retired in 2008. We built our house in 2000.
Was there a deciding factor? Or was it just because were you looking other places, or?
We did look in other places, but what we were impressed with is the amount of amenities you have. The pools and the boating and the fishing and all the things that made it more like a resort, in a sense, than a community. Plus, it was kind of, I always felt when we first started coming down, it was like where I'm from, Westwood, New Jersey, like 20 years before. In New Jersey, over the years, it just kept getting more and more crowded and more busy. But 20 years before, it used to be you knew your neighbors. It was more small town community. And when we came down here, it kind of reminded me about how when we first moved to Westwood, that small community where you knew your neighbors and there were a lot of clubs and organizations and that type of thing.
You mentioned all of the boating and things. You're known for crafting, but what are your outdoor activities?
Not a lot. Swimming mostly, using the pools mostly. Being a crafter, I'm mostly, in my little sewing room making stuff. So, but I do like using the pools. And my husband, who passed away now, but he was into a lot of the fishing and boating. We had a boat, and he was into all of that stuff. So I did do that with him,
Very cool. Tell me a little bit about how you got into crafting. Crafting is something that I'm sure you were into well before you got to Ocean Pines.
Well, I do a lot of different crafts. I always liked crafting from teenage years. I've always liked crafting, and I do a lot of different things, but I tend to more go to needle art, counted cross stitch sewing, that type of thing, crewel work. But like I said, I do some other things. And when I was first married, I was in Westwood, the Junior Women's Club, and I was into the crafting. They had a division that was crafting, and I was into that. So I've been kind of having that theme all along. But when I was working full time, I had to put a lot of that stuff aside because I just didn't have the time. But then, of course, once I retired, I went right back into it.
And I think this kind of ties into your observation about it being still very communal down in Ocean Pines. How did you find your way to the craft club and when?
Well, when we first built the house, one of our neighbors was actually two of the neighbors were in the craft club. And so they said to me, "Oh, you got to come to the craft club. You know, we have a lot of fun and whatever." So they actually invited me to their installation, which was in December. And then I didn't join till the following January or February because that fall is when we moved down permanently. So I was just getting my feet wet, so to speak. But they took me to the installation and then I decided to join. I think I joined in February of that year after the installation.
And what is the difference between just showing up and joining? Like what are the upsides of being a member? What's it like to be a member?
Well, we all craft, so we have all of that in common. We like to craft together. After our meetings, we usually do a craft together. So that's like the thread that brings us all together. You know, we all might have different lives outside the club, but that's the thing that holds us all together. I have to say, a lot of our members join not only for that, but they like the idea that we give back to the community. That even though we're crafting, we're doing something that's worthwhile for the community.
You said something that I didn't know, so I want to ask about it. So
Okay.
does, like, when you said after your meetings you all do a craft, does there somebody, like, for instance, lead and say today we're doing, I don't know, scrapbooking? Yes. Or that's cool. So
yes. We try to get all the projects lined up at the beginning of the year so we know each month we know what we're doing. Whoever's going to lead the craft project works with our programs chair to get everything set up. You know, you have to sign up for the craft so we know how much craft supplies we need for the people that are going to stay and actually do the craft. And we do that every month.
That is so cool. So can you tell me some of the things that you learned that you didn't used to know? I know you've been at it a while. Maybe just anything that maybe sticks out.
There's so many. Last month we did oyster shells. We actually put it was from a napkin, put it on an oyster shell, and you could use it as a little trinket dish or whatever. But we've done card making. We had brought somebody in to show us how to do mosaics. We had somebody come in to show us how to do. She did oil paintings. And then she put artificial flowers in it. So the finished work stood out because the flowers, like, say, came out of a vase or whatever.
Right.
We've done beading. Jewelry is very popular when we might make a bracelet or a necklace. A lot of people stay for that. They're interested in that. We've done ornaments, Christmas ornaments that we've all done together. I mean, a wide variety of different things. And we try to do different things. We don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I didn't get that sense of it. But one of the things that makes that a useful endeavor, I couldn't think of the word, is that you do have craft fairs and sell these things and then make these donations to the community, right? Is that how that works?
We have a shop too. So we actually sell our stuff all year long in the shop. And we do 2 craft fairs a year. And that just gives us extra incentive in selling stuff, you know, because the shop is open at the same time the craft fairs are open.
So when is the shop open and where is it?
The shop is right here in the White Horse Park, where the community center is in Ocean Pines. And we're open on weekends, every weekend. And we follow the farmers market hours. Right now, we're open at 8 to 3 on Saturday, but that's going to change October 1st. We'll be going to 9 to 3. And we'll do that throughout the winter and then come back to the 8 to 3 in April. And then on Sunday, we're open 10 to 3.
And all of the members, I guess, take turns running the shop? Is that?
Yeah, everything is volunteer. We have no employees. People volunteer. If you put stuff in the shop, you have to volunteer some hours to work the shop. That's part of the deal.
Do the crafters get some of the proceeds, or does it all go to donations? How does
the crafters set their own prices and they get some of the proceeds back, mainly to cover the expense of making it.
Yeah. Because especially when the beads and all the craft stuff can get pricey expensive over time.
Right. So they do get money back, but the club also gets a share of the the sale.
And how
And
do
all
you?
the profits from this shop go to giving out donations at the end of the year.
And that's what I was going to ask next. How do you decide where those donations go?
We usually have a meeting October, November. We start to talk about where we're going to donate the money. And we usually have a list by November, and the membership votes on whether they agree, they want to add or subtract or whatever. So we have a final amount by November because we give the money away at our installation in December.
And what's the installation like? What is that event like?
Well, it's fun. It's kind of a Christmas party installation all wrapped up in one. We do have the people who we are going to donate to. We have them come to pick up their checks. So we do a little bit of a ceremony with them. Then after that, we have a luncheon, and then we have a kind of like a grab bag type thing and some fun things for us to end the year.
That is very cool. And speaking of years, this is your 50th year as an organization.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know if we mentioned that in addition to being a participant, you are president of the organization. How did you become the president?
Well, at the time, they asked me to be, this is my 11th year. I'm going into my 12th year if I get elected this year. But I've been the president.
Those are FDR numbers.
Yeah, I've been the president 11 years. But I'd started, one of the members at the time, she was the craft shop manager, asked me to be president. And at the time, I was heavily into the Friends of the Library, and I was going to be president for the Friends of the Library. So I said, I really can't do it this year. I'm going to be president of that. I said, but once I get out of that, yeah, I'll do it. So that's what happened. I became president and been there for a while. It was very fulfilling for me because we kind of took the craft shop and the craft club from being just a bunch of women crafting into where we're really running the store more like a business. We've increased our revenue. We do more advertising. We do a lot more things to make it really be like a shop to increase the amount of money that we can make so that we can in turn, deliver that back to the community.
What was that transition like? Did you have any was there any pushback or?
Not really. When I became president, we had a meeting. Not a regular meeting. We had a separate meeting where we talked about, branding the club. We wanted to change the name, all of that type of stuff, developing a logo and all that kind of stuff. And so I had a group of people that were on that committee, and we just took it from there. And we brought what we wanted to change back to the membership, and we really didn't get any pushback.
That is fantastic. And so did you do much planning? I know you've had some events for your 50th anniversary. How long have you been planning it?
We planned it for about a year before.
And so what are some of the things? I know you had a big to do. What are some of the things that you've done for
Well, we were 50 years, it was in April, and we had a luncheon. We invited a number of dignitaries, state senators and that type of thing, local directors of the Chamber of Commerce and a lot of people. We also invited past members, and we found one member. She was 92 years old. She's living in Delaware now with her daughter. She actually was the second president of the club.
That's fantastic. Did she tell you any stories about?
She did tell us some stories, and she actually brought a T-shirt that she made while she was president of the club. But I guess they started as a group of women who wanted to craft. I don't remember exactly the timetable, but at one point they were meeting in a real estate office, and it kind of grew from there. And then somehow when, Ocean Pines had a building, that's where we were originally, that was in the middle of it, used to be a campground. And the building was used as bathrooms, shower, and little store. And when they closed the campground, somehow the club got invited to take the piece. They kept the bathrooms opened. If you went in the closet in our little room, you would see the tiled shower with the soap dish and everything. The craft club was able to use that building. I mean, they always paid rent for it, but we were able to use that building to set up a shop. And then a number of years ago, they asked us if we'd be willing to move because they wanted to knock that building down. It wasn't very bad repair and either needed to be really overhauled or knocked down, but they wanted to knock it down to increase the parking lot. So they asked us if we'd be willing to move, that they would build us a new building, which they did, though the craft club furnished the whole interior. We did all of the interior. We paid for all the work inside. They did give us a carpenter to do the work that we didn't have to pay for, but we had to pay for, all the flooring, the walls, and all of that stuff, the display units, the glass shelving in the windows, and all of that stuff was paid for by Ocean Pines. We worked a little hard, and we kind of kept a little money back over 2-3 years so that we would have the money to furnish it.
Do you remember when that happened?
4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember the exact date.
Oh, so you've only been in Whitehorse Park for the last 4 or 5 years?
No. The old building was in Whitehorse Park too.
Oh, okay. I was so confused. I'm like, I thought it was longer ago than that I saw that.
No, I think the shop, I never could get the real date the shop started, but the club started in April of 1974, and I think by the fall they had the shop.
So it was,
but I can't swear to that. So the shop has been almost as long as the club, I think.
Hey there, listeners. Are you in the Ocean Pines area and looking for a pharmacy that goes above and beyond? Look no further than Tidal Health Home Scripts. Open 6 days a week, our knowledgeable pharmacists are ready to fill your prescriptions in just minutes. Plus, we offer free home delivery in the Ocean Pines area and have a super convenient drive-through window. Need over-the-counter items? We've got a large selection. And with our monthly sales, you'll find everything you need at great prices. Conveniently located at the north gate of Ocean Pines, Tidal Health Home Scripts is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. To fill a prescription or arrange for a free home delivery, give us a call at 410-543-4769. That's 410-543-4769. Remember, that's Tidal Health Home Scripts, your trusted pharmacy partner. And so now you have also a big craft fair coming up. Can you talk about that? Because you have them regularly during the year, you were saying.
Yeah, we have 2 a year. And this one that's coming up is on November 2nd, 9 to 3 on Saturday. And it will be inside the community center, and it'll be our holiday event. So we'll have lots of different items for sale good for gifting through the holidays.
And what are some of the things that go into planning this? I mean, I guess if you've been at it for more than a decade, you must have it sort of nailed down, right?
Yeah, we do. We kind of we have books that take you through the year of, what you have to do this month and that month.
Oh, that's cool. Did you write those books? What has that been like? When did you decide that was something that was needed, or did someone else decide that?
Well, no, I kind of decided
that.
The one year I couldn't get anyone to chair the event, so I had to chair the event. But being president, it was a little difficult. So what I did was I broke it down into a number of different committees, and I wrote a book for them of the whole timeline of the whole fair and what their piece was, what they had to do. So I had somebody who did signage, and another person who took reservations, and another person who did advertising, and another person that did setup, another person doing hostesses, that type of thing, so that each person would take a little piece of it. And we got through the year. Luckily the members came and helped, and each took a little piece, and we were able to get through that year. So that's how that started. Now, I've never been involved with the holiday one because I'm in it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not in the August one, but the chairperson who a couple of years ago who ran that one also made a book. So if you take over that event, it's very easy because all you really have to do is follow like what you have to do when.
Yeah, it's an easier sell to someone who's like, well, I don't have the time to learn to do this. Well, you don't have to learn to do it. You just have to look at the book and say, all right, today's 3 weeks before, we should have this done by now, and I have to find this person to do this thing by now.
Right.
That is terribly interesting. When you guys meet, you meet in the community center, though, or do you meet at different places?
We meet in the community center.
And when you're wondering, like, how do you find, you said you had people come from outside. How often do you have outside speakers, and how do you find them?
Well, I hate to say it, but it's kind of hit or miss on that. A lot of our crafts are done by our own members who'll step up. They've made something in the past, or they just did something and want to show it to the group. But we're always looking for outside, that's not out of the realm. It's hard to find those people.
So when was the last time you did one, and what have you led in before?
Well, I actually did one I shouldn't say, because I really had somebody do it. Yesterday we made, because of our 50th anniversary, we've been making items for the 50th anniversary and selling them throughout the year.
Like branded.
Yeah, a lot of Ocean Pines stuff. We did Christmas balls with seashells and sand in them, and they have ribbons on them that say Ocean Pines. We've done some bracelets now that have little charms on them besides the beads that have little pine cones on them or seashells or that type of thing. They've been very popular too. I've been doing square blocks that are decorated and lighted inside on a beach theme. They've all sold. So we've been working on stuff. And yesterday we have ornaments coming out in the shape of your old-fashioned Christmas light, and we filled them with herbs, and they're a dip mix. They're a great like stocking stuffer.
Yeah.
We have an olive oil dip we made yesterday and a ranch dip, and we'll be selling them now for the holidays and at the craft fair.
That's fun. It's like a James Bond Christmas. Like,
right.
Let me dump this secret potion out of this seemingly innocuous Christmas ornament. So you have these events and you give away the donations. Do you know how much? Is there any kind of record? Like, how much have you given away and like to whom?
We normally give to the police, the fire. We give to the Parks and Rec. We're actually a gold sponsor of the summer concerts in the park, the free concerts in the park.
Oh, wow.
Through them, their scholarships are given for camp. Supplies, craft supplies are bought. We've given to the Ocean Pines Library for their crafting program. They do a program on Saturday, crafting with the kids. So we give them a donation for craft supplies for that. Who else? We give to the veterans, the Veteran Memorial. We give to the Neighborhood Watch. They help us with our crafts fairs, with the directing of parking and that. My mind is going blank.
Oh, that's okay. No, I didn't need an exhaustive list. I was just trying to get a sense. So the money goes like pretty much almost directly back into the community.
Yeah, that's part of our bylaws. Even though we opened it up to the community, besides our community, that we take members from outside the community. In our bylaws, it's stated that even if they join, we give back to Ocean Pines community because that's where we started.
Well, that makes
over sense. The years, I didn't mention this fact. Over the years since it's our inception, right now I've been tracking how much we've been given over the years, and I do have to say there was a time where we lost a lot of our early information. It was in the closet in our old building that got the roof leaked and it all got rained on and was thrown away. But right now we're at $185,000 over the course of the 50 years plus, because I don't know the first, 5 or 6 years. And I think it's 7 years. I don't have the information. So I know we must have given something in those 7 years, but so it's 185,000 plus over the years that we've given back in either financial donations. We've also given benches and water fountains and tables and chairs for the community center and things like that over the years. So it's quite a big amount that we have donated back.
It is. And I think not equally impressive, but worth mentioning is the fact that you've also been able to keep track of this, because after 5 years, it's a tax document, but after 50 years, it's a historical document. And the idea of someone in another 50 years, when you're up to whatever, $1 million, being able to say, we can kind of show how the craft club has been involved in supporting Ocean Pines over the last 100 years. That's pretty neat. It's pretty neat to be part of something, that historically significant.
I had to go through a lot of old minutes and stuff to get to the numbers, but now it's in an Excel spreadsheet. So we're keeping track of it every year.
So as long as that Microsoft can hold on, you should be fine.
Right. We now keep all of our records in plastic boxes. We no longer keep them in cardboard boxes after that flood.
Fool me once, right?
Yeah.
And so what do you, when someone asks why join the Crafter Club, like if I don't have a craft that I do, but I'm interested in figuring it out, how does joining the Craft Club benefit?
Well, we do have members who don't craft.
Huh.
They come for the friendship, and they like the fact that we donate back to the community, and they want to be a part of that. So we do have members who don't craft, and some of them who don't craft do come to stay for the projects because they said, "Oh, that's cute. I'd like to try to make it," and they do try, and they get into it. So, but you don't have to craft to be in the Pioneer Craft Club. Like I said, there's just the friendship and the camaraderie and the good feeling you get when you donate back, you know?
Yeah, and getting to, I mean, sometimes you don't know what to do, and it's easy to find, it's easier when you find kind of directed volunteering. Like, I would like to do something. What do I do? Well, I don't know. Well, you join the Pinus Craft Club and like, okay, well, now if you want to volunteer, we do this, we do that, we do the other thing. And it's easy to find a way to make yourself useful, more useful, I guess, to the community.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. You know, I think people volunteer because they like the feeling of being useful and giving back, you know?
Yeah. Excellent. And well, we are kind of coming up against it. But before I go, I always like to ask people if there's something that I should have asked and I didn't, what would you have asked you? Or if there's something you thought you were going to get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it.
I don't know. Without saying, you know, we're always looking for new members.
Well, you seem like you're really welcoming. You don't seem like, it seems to me from our conversation and from the fact that you've been at it for 50 years that it's an easy club to be a part of. It sounds like it's only as demanding as you'd like it to be, but that the camaraderie goes beyond any of the demands.
Right. Though I do have to say, it's becoming harder, and I think you'll find this with a lot of the clubs now, getting people to volunteer for taking on projects. That's why, you know, breaking them down now has become kind of part of the thing, because it seems like younger people, I hate to say it that way, how else could I say it? Don't seem to, their lives are so busy that they want to volunteer, but they don't want to take on too much because they're so busy. You know, they've got to take the kids to school, or their kids are in clubs or ball games or what, that they want to be there and they'll help wherever possible, but they seem to don't want to take on too much because they're so busy.
Right. Maybe they don't want to commit. They feel
overcommit.
Like, right.
Yeah.
So just any final thoughts before we close it up?
Well, thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity. I would really like to stress the fact our upcoming craft fair.
Well, talk about it one more time. Let's get the dates. Let's get the times. Let's get the websites. All of those things.
Okay. Well, our craft fair is Saturday, November 2nd, 9 to 3. It's in the community center in Ocean Pines in Whitehorse Park. And we'll have lots of vendors there. Kiwanis is doing our food. We have a room for them and called the Kiwanis Cafe, where you can get breakfast and lunch. And we'll have lots of crafters there. A lot of our members are in that craft fair, as well as other people. And we'll have lots of holiday gift ideas for the upcoming season.
When you say vendors, is it still too late to become a vendor? What does it take?
We're sold out right now. We do have a wait list for that fair.
Oh, that's interesting. And do you sell tables? How does that work?
Yes, you sell a booth, so to speak, a space. They get a 10 by 10 space. If they can bring their own table, or they could rent a table from us. Some people have double space because they have a lot of stuff to sell. And there's quite a big variety. Because it's only inside, we're limited to the amount of space we can sell. Right. And we also keep track of what we're selling. Like, we don't want to have too many of one thing. We try to keep it very varied. So there's a selection of things, that it's not all the same thing.
Right. You don't need 40 vendors.
Right. We don't need, 10 jewelers. We need a variety of things. So we keep a handle on that for the November one. When we do the August one, that's in the park as well as inside. Gives us a little more leeway. There's more booths, more space, more different types of people. So if you have two or three of something, it's not as bad as when you're all in one building. You don't need to see 2 and 3 of the same thing.
Right. And how do people find out if there are spaces? Do they get out on the website? Is there a form?
Yeah, we do it in lots of different ways. We advertise it. It's on the Ocean Pines website. It's in the newspapers, word of mouth. Right now, for next August, after the fair, people were very happy after the fair. We actually have 28 people coming back already for next year's fair, already sold.
That's what I was asking. So people who can already start signing up for August.
Yes. Like I said, we have 28 people coming back. They signed up that day of the fair.
That is absolutely.
Go ahead. To come back next year. So that's how we get the word out. We have a Facebook page. We put it up on the Facebook page.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I'm looking forward to the big craft fair. And congratulations on 50 years.
Thank you.
The Pines Cast is an Ocean Pines Association production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo, executive producer, Josh Davis. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me by emailing me at bytonyrusso@gmail.com. That is bytonyrusso@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the show. Let me know if I'm missing something. Let me know if you have an old story about ocean pines that you feel needs to be told or needs to be shared, because I'd be happy to do that. Of course, we would love it if you would rate and review the show on the app of your choice. And of course, please subscribe wherever you're listening now. But mostly, we want you to listen to the show. We want you to like the show. And we want you to tell your friends who you think might like the show to start listening as well. That is all for this time, and I will catch you in another 3 weeks on November 22nd on the Pines Cast.